For more on the developments in Venezuela, we've reached Peter Van Praagh. He is president of the Halifax International Security Forum. Of course, it was recently held a few weeks ago, and he is in Washington. Happy New Year to you, Peter, and nice to see you.
Todd, great to be here. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to all your viewers.
Was this kind of scenario involving Venezuela discussed at the recent forum here?
It was. It was not discussed exactly like this, but the idea of that it was time for Maduro to leave power has been discussed now for some time. Maduro was a brutal dictator, and he came to power after Hugo Chavez. He succeeded Hugo Chavez. Hugo Chavez was also a dictator, but he was very popular, and he actually won elections. Maduro never won an election. The elections were fixed, and he has been an illegitimate dictator for some time now, certainly since 2018, but even I would say as far back as 2013 when he came to power. So his removal right now over the weekend has led many people to celebrate and to say it's good that Maduro is now gone. And many of those people are human rights people and people who are democracy advocates. But I would warn them very seriously that this, in fact, is not good for Venezuela. It's not good for international security. And ultimately, this is not good for the United States of America itself. Why? Because this was done illegally.
Trump said he was taking out a drug terrorist. The talk quickly turned to oil.
Yeah.
What was this about? There seems to be some confusion. Even when these questions are put to the White House, there's really no straight answer.
Well, Todd, the truth is that we don't really know exactly what the reason is. In the national security strategy that the Trump administration released early last month, it says that they want to restore American preeminence in the Western Hemisphere. And so this is certainly flexing United States muscle and demonstrating to the world, to the hemisphere, and to Canada what the United States military can do. But again, it's very important to understand that what was done over the weekend was not legal. And I would go back to say that Donald Trump did something at his press conference on Saturday that even the George W. Bush administration never did in their preparation for invading Iraq, which was, he said, this is about the oil. And so right now, it is true that there was a very successful military operation that was very hard to do. There were no American casualties. We don't know how many Venezuelan casualties there were just yet. But from what I can tell at this juncture, there really is no plan for going forward. And so this is the United States president flexing muscles that he should not be flexing. This is illegal. And at the end of the day, it's going to be a very dangerous exercise. The Maduro regime still has this very strong political base, and the idea that the millions of followers of Maduro and the political infrastructure are just going to now do what they're told by Mr. Trump is really far-fetched. And so I do see even a greater period of instability in Venezuela, and it will be noted that Mr. Trump did not at once on Saturday during his press conference talk about the importance of the restoration of democracy in Venezuela. And that's something that we really should be talked about.
Peter, Canadians are watching this very closely, of course. Some very concerned by what they're seeing, given the rhetoric that he has displayed in the past. Should Canadians be concerned?
Absolutely. Canadians need to be concerned. And I'll circle back to that, but everybody in the world needs to be concerned. Why? The United States, up until very recently, until this president, it's one of the founders of the United Nations Charter. It upheld the rule of law, even when it did things that many countries, including Canadians, didn't like. It tried to do it through the United Nations. It tried to do things legally. and it talked about the importance of democracy. It's no longer doing that. This is just might makes right. He's already talked about Colombia being next, Cuba, Greenland, and earlier last year, he talked about Canada. So this is not going to end well for the United States. We don't know exactly when it's going to end, but this is policy, as if the not only the lessons from Iraq were never learned, but the lessons of the 20th century were never learned, as if we've gone back to some type of age of empire. And that is not, fortunately for the world, for Canada, and unfortunately for Mr. Trump, the world has learned the lessons from the 20th century. And although he will continue to try to do things, the world is not going to let him. And frankly, I don't believe, Todd, the American people are going to let him go very much further.
In the minute that I have left, Canada was rather slow to make a statement on the U.S. action. Why do you think that is the case? And is there a risk in waiting so long to do that?
Yes, there is a risk. Canada Canada has a lot of considerations because of the close economic relationship with the United States. But fundamentally, my advice to Canadian leaders is you have to stay true to universal values, Canadian values, human values, and insist that the rule of law is followed. They've done that, but they need to do it quickly. They need to do it loudly, as do all of America's friends. Everybody needs to, at this juncture, America's closest friends need to call out when the United States makes a bad mistake. Nobody liked Maduro. Maduro's a bad guy, but this was not done properly.
Peter, we'll have to leave it there tonight. Certainly appreciate your analysis on this. Peter Van Praagh of the Halifax Security Forum will be speaking again, no doubt. Thank you.
Thank you, Todd. Thank you.
Time for a break. We'll be back with much more of your newscast.